Do you ever get the feeling you're being watched? No, we're not talking like in a scary movie, but a much scarier and rather real prospect. Being constantly observed by public surveillance. In today's digital age, there's no avoiding it. Just how many times do you think your image is captured on camera on any given day? We'll add up the numbers, but let us know your guess in the comments. So let's look at the rise of public surveillance. From the first cameras in shopping malls and on street corners, to the digital surveillance and facial recognition technology of today. The 1960s, the dawn of public surveillance. In the days before video camera technology, following someone's movement by using binoculars was probably as high-tech as it got. But it was in the 1960s that public surveillance, as we know it today, took its first foothold. Closed-circuit television, or CCTV for short, was exactly as described. A closed-circuit line to specific viewers, rather than being broadcast to the public to be viewed on living room TVs like most major broadcasting stations of the time. Thus, it wasn't deemed illegal to watch or record private events for private use. While the technology became profitable for pay-per-view sporting events, its earliest and most prevalent use was for security surveillance. Overseas, the United Kingdom first used CCTV to keep a safe eye on visiting dignitaries during public appearances with the royal family as early as 1960, and a year later in 1961 to watch for people loitering or pickpocketing at busy London train stations. By 1963, it spread to the city of Munich, Germany, which introduced CCTV to monitor traffic flows at busy intersections. But in the USA, it was the small city of Olean, New York that first introduced public surveillance in September 1968 when the police department installed CCTV security cameras on telephone poles. The project was quickly abandoned due to the lack of night vision cameras, since most crime takes place at night rather than the light of day. But this officially opened the door to the public masses being publicly surveilled. In the turbulent social and political climate of the 1960s, basic video surveillance became an evidence-gathering tool on all sides of the political spectrum. When the decade rolled over, surveillance controversies stretched as high as the Oval Office, and the public was suddenly very much aware that anybody could be watching anyone, anywhere, at any time. The 1980s, expansion and innovation. Hampered by technology in its early days, innovations from the prior decades would open new doors for surveillance in the 1980s. An issue with early surveillance and CCTV was that filming everything required large, circular physical film reels, a film recorder the size of a bedroom dresser, and extremely expensive tape to operate and record on. So without all that hardware, live feed cameras had to be monitored constantly by human beings to catch anything that might happen. But paying them to do so was no less expensive or time-consuming. The introduction of smaller, cheaper, and reusable videotape cassettes and videocassette recorders, known more prominently as VCRs, eliminated that problem, allowing footage to be recorded constantly, providing concrete evidence of any incidents or activities without relying on what someone said they saw while watching a live feed. In addition, the 1976 invention of charge-coupled device technology, also known as CCD, allowed for recording in limited and low-light situations that finally solved the night vision issue. And soon, everywhere from banks to offices to busy intersections and shopping mall food courts were recording on tape around the clock 24/7. If you're curious about, well, stuff, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on a new video. Thanks. Now back to watching about being watched. As the decade kicked off, President Ronald Reagan signed off on Executive Order 12333 in 1981. It was initially announced as granting American intelligence agencies like the FBI and CIA more power to gather information about domestic terrorism, narcotics operations, and counterintelligence against foreign enemies. But later disclosures revealed it allowed surveillance and data collection of American citizens that included but was not limited to wiretapping of civilian phone calls and visual surveillance of civilian activities. The bill has widely been considered an encroachment on civil liberties and privacy ever since, with many wondering how much they're willing to be watched in the name of being kept safe. The rise of early personal computers and the infancy of the internet just meant more information to track, and more ways to keep that information locked away digitally with flash drive storage, hard drive storage, and both floppy disks and compact disks as things rolled through to the 1990s. But another major turn in the ever-increasing cloud of surveillance would arrive not long after the new millennium did. The 2000s, digital surveillance and the internet age. Whether it was the Orwellian idea of Big Brother watching you under government surveillance, or the idea of being recorded while grabbing lunch at a big boy burger joint with security cameras, people had found some level of acceptance that they would be watched or recorded when they were out and about. It didn't take long, though, before they'd have to worry about that happening behind closed doors, too. 1992 brought the introduction of the nanny-cam, which retailed for $1,200 at the time. It was a tiny camera hidden inside a teddy bear that functioned as a visual version of a traditional audio-only baby monitor, but the tech was quickly adapted to allow the inconspicuous camera to be placed anywhere in a private home for surveillance purposes. While cameras were getting smaller and more portable, allowing outside forces to follow your activities behind the closed doors of private residences, the rise of accessible home internet, thanks to personal computers, meant those same outside forces could also follow your activities behind the supposed privacy of your computer screen. While Executive Order 12333's supposed intent was to rein in criminal and terrorist activity through surveillance, it wasn't enough to prevent the attacks of September 11, 2001, and then President George W. Bush would double down on President Ronald Reagan's idea by creating the Patriot Act. Granting the state even further powers as it related to privacy in the name of safety, the Patriot Act expanded surveillance abilities and resources of both law enforcement and intelligence agencies for the internet age, including accessing email and messenger services as well as stored data files of citizens. But as much as private citizens pointed fingers at the government, surveillance tech was becoming prevalent in the free market too, granting normal people more watching power than ever before. Rather than the decades-long precedent of needing to carry an expensive physical camera to take photos or video, the advent of cell phone cameras of both the low-resolution flip phone style and then the HD smartphone versions put observance tech in the palm of everyone's hand. And dash cams in vehicles kept another set of eyes on the road, and everything else for drivers. Although the first US patent for a CCTV home video security system was granted in 1969, advanced tech like ring cams replaced those expensive bulky cameras and grainy feeds at a fraction of the cost or effort and allowed everyone to see who might be approaching their doorstep. As a result, just walking down a residential street can land you on multiple video feeds. Today, AI, facial recognition, and beyond. From government entities poring over the private data of good guys in the name of catching bad guys, to being recorded on your morning run because your neighbor has a camera on their mailbox, to somebody's dash cam catching you spilling your coffee at a red light on your morning commute, and any number of situations in between, there is less and less time in a given day when you're not being observed. Studies have shown that as recently as 2022, everyday Americans are captured by a camera more than 30 times a day, adding up to an average of 238 times every week. These averages can even be broken down into mundane scenarios that suddenly seem less pedestrian if you wonder who might be doing the observing. Thanks to traffic intersection cams, police cruiser recorders, private citizen dash cams, and even photo radar pictures, you could be recorded 160 times a week while driving, or even sitting in the back of your Uber on the way home from work. While you were at work, you could have been taped 40 times over the week, and even more so if you worked in a public retail space like a shopping center. And while shopping for your groceries that week, you're likely to be captured more than 24 times running your basic errands in supermarkets and grocery stores. The evolution of surveillance, though, means now you're not just being watched or listened to, but tracked to your exact location, and even a glimpse of your face can identify you to just about anybody. The comparison across eras. Modernized methods of surveillance have replaced old-school, hands-on, and largely inconvenient surveillance methods to a blanket style of tracking and identifying at a moment's notice. However, each step forward has meant a step back for basic expectations and rights of privacy. Sure, abandoning filing cabinets full of mugshots for digital facial recognition technology means law enforcement might be able to pick a criminal out of a crowd when he's on the run at a crowded airport, but to do so, they'll be capturing your face and everyone else's in the process. That technology has already come under fire for allegations of racial profiling, with university studies suggesting error rates as high as 35% for facial recognition identifying faces of people of color, while those same error rates are less than 1% when identifying Caucasian males. Tracking devices like Apple AirTags has given hope to those who no longer need the old technique of retracing a full day's worth of steps to find their lost car keys or remembering where they parked at the mall, but also given paranoia to anyone who could have their location traced simply by having one placed on or near their person at any given time. You no longer have to shout, "Follow that car," at a taxi driver to follow someone. You can just look it up on your tablet. And speaking of tablets and devices, phone finder apps are a lifesaver if you forgot your phone on the table at the pub, but not if that phone is in your pocket when you're somewhere you'd rather not be found. Traditional landline phones were once tethered to a physical location, but today's smartphone tech means the phone is always at your location instead of the other way around. Taken at face value, constant observation over the eras is likely done in the name of public safety, efficiency, and basic convenience. But in the wrong hands, there is a dark side to things like facial recognition. As long as there have been people, there have been others keen to keep an eye on them. And in more modern times, we've seen that become more prevalent than ever thanks to the technology. While the 1980s have long passed, the book 1984 was George Orwell's novel about a futuristic, dystopian surveillance state that opined on the danger of public surveillance going too far. The tale's fearful concept of Big Brother is watching you and surveillance overreach, eventually policing our very thoughts, is understandable in a world where we're always being looked at. In the era of smartphones, now leading to smart cities, with complex monitoring systems that track everything from electricity usage to traffic flow to, yes, even people, the objects around us are under surveillance as much as we are, and there's little reason to think that we'll see any less surveillance in the future. So smile, you're on camera. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And to check out another video, stay right here to keep on watching.